Hey, sorry, wasn't part of my own studio yet. Had a really interesting night last night. Yes, this is what mom life looks like. And I wanted to, sorry, I'm trying to do things on time for once, which means I'm a little scatterbrained. So last night, Kathryn Haines, who I will give major props to, because out of 5 school board members in Chesterfield County, Kathryn Haines is the only one that does town halls. And that's the Midlothian district. Now, walked in. Of course, they had the the bond referendum meeting also last night, but I don't think that that's the reason why there weren't people there. There was one student, like 3 or 4 of us, and like 2 or 3 parents. So one is that she had one, I think, last week at Robius Middle. Yesterday's was at Meadowbrook. And then moving forward, I don't know what she's going to have. But one is that we should all be writing all the other 4 and asking them, why aren't we having town halls? Why aren't you having town halls? And I know what the answer is. It's because they don't want to hear it. They're done. They've been done. And frankly, they don't care. So as much as I vehemently disagree with the majority of what Kathryn Haines says and does, I will say that her doing that is huge, because you've got Ryan Harter running for delegate in the new seat in Richmond, in Midlothian, for District 1, I believe. You've got Ann Coker, the chairwoman, Debbie Bailey, and then you've got Dot Heffron for Clover Hill. So Midlothian might be the most affluent, but there's 4 other enormous districts which we have to change, because we have 5 school board members for 60,000 children. Virginia Beach has 11 or 12. We have the minimum that's required for the state. The minimum is 5. Places like Isle of Wight, Accomack, they have like 8, 9. Which I've talked to Mike Cherry, I've talked to Amanda Chase, I've talked to multiple people within the General Assembly, and that would require, yes, it would require work, but 5 districts representing 60,000 children is absolutely ridiculous. And some people say, well, it gives us a better chance if it's an all conservative board, whatnot. No, it actually doesn't represent the community of Chesterfield. If we're going to remove politics from school boards, which is what we have to do, it doesn't represent the community of Chesterfield County with having 5 people on a school board. So no, I don't agree with that logic of, hey, if we can get an all Republican school board. No, that's not the goal. That doesn't represent all children. So just wanted to give you all a heads up that Kathryn Haines is the only one. So the first thing that caught my attention when we first walked in was not only that she said only Midlothian community members, parents, etc. could comment. Everybody else could sit there. Which I found, she said that because of me. Little does she know that we're closing on a house in Midlothian. So anyway, we'll get to that. So the first thing that she commented on was the fact that how proud, and Debbie Bailey has said this before, how proud they are. Debbie Bailey put it as to be fully funded. This was at a school board meeting last year, to be fully funded the next 2 years, which is not what the ARP, the ESSER money, which is what they used it for, which is not what that money was meant to be for, first of all. And then last night, Kathryn Haines was so proud to say that they had paid off all of their debt. So if you take Debbie Bailey's comment of fully funded. Well, what does that mean? Because we don't have teachers, we don't have special ed teachers, we don't have aides, we don't have bus drivers. We have 46 classrooms being taught remotely, so that is synchronous learning. The majority of them, Carver, Matoaca, Meadowbrook, the same ones, 46 math classes, all math classes being taught. One is from being taught remotely from Jamaica. So what is fully funded? Well, Kathryn Haines cleared that up last night with they paid off their debt with the ARP money. So where's the money? They basically cleared their so that they wouldn't have anything the next year that they're in office to worry about. The kids, the stuff that the ARP money was supposed to go to, don't care about that. They have paid off all their debt. So that caught me first, is what caught me, because I'm sitting there going, as much as, because you can go to VAFCF.org and all the ESSER manuals, all the letters from Cardona. Now, of course, there's no follow-up. We're going to give you like everything. We're going to give you all this federal money, and we're going to tell you what you can and can't do with it. And that includes transparency. But after that, we really don't care. We're not going to follow up. There's not going to be any transparency, because I promise you, I fought the county all year on this document here, because I get Teacher Direct that April 29th, Jillian Balo sent a reminder of the ARP ESSER local plans 6-month review requirement. So if you were to click on here, you could find all the info, but the date by which school divisions were required to post local plans on their websites was June 1st. The second 6-month review should be completed by June 1st, 2022. So on June 15th, I gave them plenty of time. I started asking where this transparency is. Where's the transparency? Where's the money? Where's the transparency? Because you can type in Virginia ARP ESSER money, and you'll have about, on your first page, without even attempting to research, you'll have every county in the world. Some of them have explicit, I mean, not just transparent, but like transparent, not like what I'm going to show you that I got sent. Now, this was June 1st, this was due and we already have the website developed. And to this day, it's still not up there. They've buried it in some archive because they don't want us to know what they do with the money. So that'll take me to what I finally got out of the county about money. So this was done June 7th. Let's see if I can I zoom in. I'm gonna have to download it. Hold on, let me download it real quick. While I tell you. So the ARP money was due the 1st of June. I had a meeting with Ann Coker and Kathryn Haines on June 16th, asking, due to this memo, where the money was. So they knew all summer long that this money was due the 1st. So come the first school board meeting, I'm writing our director of constituent services, who, thank the Lord, still has a soul and has not, and I was able to start interacting with him before this county sunk their claws in him. So I was able to, through constant and persistent get this money spreadsheet that was due on the 1st. So that was what, and I'll jump back to the money because it's really important that we have that. So the first thing she talked about was how proud they are to be they paid off all their debt. Debbie Bailey last year, fully funded. Okay. The second thing that grabbed me was she opened with what a wonderful school year they started out with. Now, see, the problem with that, if you know this county, is that to one, say anybody there that's not from Midlothian is welcome to watch, but you can't comment. So you have parents who have come who don't know what's going on. And plus Midlothian, they say that the vampires go where the blood is that even though it's the most affluent division, it is also the most egregious, and that would be the Robius to Robius James River pipeline. That would be Midlothian Middle. And after meeting the Meadowbrook, what is it, Meadowbrook? The middle school, Meadowbrook? Yeah, it's Meadowbrook. Middle school principal, I've never met a more arrogant, self-righteous man. I didn't even meet him, but he stood up with his suit and I'm a young guy, but walked in there, didn't introduce himself, and had to chime in on everything. I'll tell you what he disclosed in a second. So we get there, and so she starts talking about what a wonderful school year it was and who has feedback. So there was a couple of teachers there, and this really lit me up, is the teacher started talking about there's no guidance counselors. There's no guidance counselors. Or there are guidance counselors, but they have their jobs, and this is when the redheaded, I forget his name because I did not remember to care, the most arrogant. That was my principal. I can't even imagine. Manchester Middle principal. He stood up because they said, where are the guidance counselors? There's kids that need to change their schedules. There's special ed kids that need help. Roles that guidance counselors, because I'm going to show you, they're no longer calling them that. They are school counselors. So the actual role of guidance counselors, now, of course, blaming the pandemic, whatever, has changed. His literal words. The role has changed. They're now, he kept referring to them as guidance counselors, but I don't even think that anybody has actually called them guidance counselors. It's not the American Association of Guidance Counselors. It's school counselors. Their roles have changed. They're, not in their office, because when I'm from Midlow, is that you needed your guidance counselor to help you work on, it's like an advisor in college. You need your guidance counselor to help you work on your schedule or to have a conversation with you. Your guidance counselor is in their office. So this teacher was talking about students have nobody to help them navigate, changes in schedules, things that traditionally and still by law, guidance counselors are supposed to be doing. And then he started talking about they have interns filling these positions, these roles that guidance counselors are supposed to be, and by law, doing. He said they're spread so thin by doing restorative conferences. So if anybody know anything about restorative practices, which is restorative justice, which is restorative circles. I mean, a million other things that Chesterfield has no clue, and that's something for a different show. But I encourage you to look up what restorative practices is, and then question where the behavior in our schools is coming from. Because this belief that restorative justice, it's essentially nobody gets punished for anything. Somebody assaults you, you sit down and you try to you have children try to hash out let's have a face-to-face, like something that adults would do. So restorative conferences is what he said. I was taking notes. That would be disputes between children. That's what guidance counselors are doing. Disputes between children without parents. I will add that in. Okay. Restorative practices, which is a very vast subject. And then, which I will mention, goes far beyond the scope of what a school counselor is licensed to do. Because that's the thing, is that there's no transparency here. There's zero. And started talking about, and then the teacher chimed in and she said was talking about these interns, these coaches, because that's who they're bringing in to do social emotional learning. If it's not the teacher, is none of these people are qualified. And the teacher actually pointed out the fact that one of these interns are non-qualified people. And this was this year in Chesterfield County. So within the last month, a teacher commented that her child, with one of these non-qualified intern coaches, whoever they're bringing in, because remember, Merv says that basically a classroom instructor is in every classroom. They stood all these children up and they had to introduce themselves with their pronoun. And that her daughter did not feel she needed to. This is a teacher. Her daughter did not feel that she needed to comment on her pronoun. And she did not want to comment on her pronoun. So I'm sitting there like flipping my lid. Because one, I want to scream out compelled speech. Compelled speech, you're violating the First Amendment. But then she said that the intern, the coach, whoever this non-qualified person was, incessantly would not let the child finish her introduction until she said her pronoun. Okay. So, and yes, I have already written Chesterfield County. I did it as soon as it came to the new governor's dignity and whatever policy. Because Chesterfield adopted it verbatim, zero parental involvement. So I wrote them, and you should write them too, and say, when is this being done? I don't want to wait till the next school board meeting. You were so quick to take away my rights as a parent that have now been restored by Governor Youngkin. I want an emergency meeting like they did with masking. I want it done now. I don't want to wait till next school board. I want to know that when I send my daughters to school, that they don't have boys roaming in, that you're not teaching teachers to look the other way because students can enter whatever bathroom they want, because this county has allowed Northern transgender model policy to go on for 13 months. We've had assaults in bathrooms. We've had a rape in a bathroom. And no, for those of you watching, I'm not saying it's a transgender rape. I'm saying that due to the fuzziness and teachers having blinders on, that they can't approach students, anybody, going into the wrong bathroom because it violates that child's rights, which is why I pulled my daughters out. So no, I don't have any regrets, because I don't think that they're going to change this. I don't think that they're going to be forceful in this. I don't think they're going to enforce it, because that's not what Chesterfield County does. Now, they were certainly forceful when it came to the 0.6% of the population that is in gender dysphoria. They were certainly forceful. They even had that thing written before the meeting. Keep that in mind. That model policy in the county model under board docs was written prior to the meeting. So they had it ready to go. And last year, and I spoke with Ann Coker, I said, when are you going to change this under the new administration? They've been waiting for this guidance for the last 6 months, knowing it was coming. So I expect, and you should expect, the same expedient. It should have been done yesterday, the day before. It should have been done Monday. Everything that they have allowed, including, I have the forms where students can have a support plan, change their pronouns, change their name without parental consent for Chesterfield County. That was not part of the meeting, but I will chime in, because a teacher said that this year, a support coach, whoever that's not qualified, made them say their pronoun and would not let her child sit down until they had said their pronoun. So that was another thing that caught me, and I almost lost my lid. But arrogant Manchester Middle principal chimed in about the guidance counselor issue, and to which I then had to inform Ms. Haines, I'm sorry, I know that you said that only Midlothian residents can comment, but we are in the process of closing on a house. So I am now a Midlothian district representative. So here's what I'm going to tell you, is that instead of spending millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on social emotional learning, which is giving mental health to all children, how about you take that money, spend it towards actually hiring the people who are licensed to be doing this? Because I'm going to tell you, and I pulled out my phone and I read the examples of why I pulled my child out. That my child came home from school thinking that at 11 that she had generalized anxiety disorder. And I know a lot of you have heard this before. I went on to read the social skills. Because we want to talk about how any of this benefit, if you're for transgender children, okay, they're going to be shy. They're going to be many things. So pulling them into a group think, this is what all this is, guys. It's embedded systemic SEL. It's in every single classroom. Get a parent portal. Canvas, especially if you're in Chesterfield, go through it. You don't have to actually go into the child's Chromebook. You can have it right here. One, it aggregates their data. It mixes their data with yours, if you care about data. Two, it's how you can look up on your phone. It goes to Rapid Identity, and then it goes to Canvas, and you can look up their assignments. And yes, it's tedious, guys, but if you want to see, because we don't get textbooks, what your child is learning, what they're being taught, if they're coming home acting a little bit different than what you raised them to act like my child was, challenging me, saying things completely ludicrous, you need to think about where is it coming from? Because if you control your child's, what goes into their brain or what they're taught, and I'm going to have to do a separate show, that social emotional learning is 100% teaching your child values, morals, and beliefs that you are not teaching them. And you don't know about it. But that's the main thing, is that, but you do have the right, and this is Virginia law and constitutional law, is that you have the right to all curriculum, to view all curriculum. Let's see. So right here, you can look it up. Virginia Administrative Code. Now, this is all part of the law of Virginia. And it's 8 VAC20 right here. Instructional materials. Local school boards shall be responsible for the selection and utilization of instructional materials. Chesterfield County, just after me having them in their face for an entire year, just asked to see the second step curriculum that's being taught to our children. They haven't even seen it. Okay? But right here, the right of a parent to inspect upon request any instructional materials used as part of the educational curriculum for students and the procedure for granting a request by a parent for such access in accordance with the Protection of Pupil Rights Amendment and implementing its regulation. It's right here. Wendell Roberts, who denied. So anytime that you write them and you say, because it's just like a textbook, because Chesterfield because Chesterfield County has chosen to sign contracts, and I have all of them that say that they will not disclose second step, Center for Collaborative Education, all the contracts for every single company. It's a blank form and it says it's copyrighted. We won't share with anybody. So that's going to be what they tell you, is that we can't share it with you because of copyright. Well, here's the thing, is that until you change Virginia law or federal law, it's not my fault you don't use textbooks anymore, because it also goes on to say that instructional materials includes everything, including textbooks, online learning, etc. So, pronouns, budget, cell phones. Didn't know this. So it appears that I'd heard this happening all the rest of the state had this happening. Didn't know until a teacher brought up cell phones. That she was happy that cell phones were finally being regulated. Which, listen, I had to get my 11-year-old a cell phone last Christmas, as much as I didn't want to, because the teachers were rewarding them with cell phone time. So does it make me really mad that all of a sudden, miraculously, now they want to regulate cell phones when all last year, all the evidence that parents were being sent, do you think that they did that to protect the children? No. They decided to enact, and of course now it's not going to find it. They decided to enact, I'll just pull up, let's see, of course, Cosby was and Hopkins were the first two that I was able to find. So Family Resource Hub. Now, this has always been here. Always, always, always. Schools may establish procedures that allow a student to possess, turn on, and use personal cell phone or other personal devices while on school property during the instructional day. Problem number one, schools may. That means you have 63 schools doing 63 different things based on whatever their agenda is, because it's the same schools that are actually now enforcing this that we have gotten all of the information from last year, from students taking pictures, recording, the same schools that are now, Cosby being one, the main one. Which other one? Let's see, Hopkins. I haven't dug into every school, but those were the only two that popped up immediately that had actual written. Now, I also haven't dissected, but I did pull up the handbook. And the handbook says the same thing. It's a sorry. Okay, so the handbook, which I will tell you is different than the one that they had originally printed last year. So if you go through here, which I'm going to pick apart later. So you've got no town hall, no town hall, no town hall, no town hall, and running for delegate, no town hall, and a superintendent who has never and will never respond to a single parent email. Never, ever do I know of anybody that's ever heard back from Merv Doherty, Merv. And then Kathryn Haines. So let's go down to where it is. Phones and personal devices. Now, this is policy, I think, 4010R, something like that. It's, again, schools may establish procedures. So they have all of a sudden decided this is where children are capturing everything we're doing. It's the same thing about locking parents out. Guys, if they've locked you out of your school and you can't go in, don't send your child to that school, period. I would never send my child into a school that will not allow me in, period. Tell them, show me a policy. Show me a new policy that says that we have to sign up for lunch. The fact is that if the same schools that are locking parents out are the same schools that are doing this stuff, and the schools that will let you, I can tell you last year, I was in Swift Creek almost every day without a mask, even when they were required, auditing the library without a mask. Parents, Spring Run Elementary, during COVID masking, they were in there having lunch. Is that because your school is telling you one thing, you need to start asking the question, why is it just my school? Because it's not all schools. So the cell phone thing, the lunch thing, we didn't get to all that, but the cell phone thing was new to me. The pronoun thing lit me up. Pulling children up and not letting them sit down until they announced their pronouns. But that, we had 1 hour and we didn't really get to delve into that, but that was enlightening to me. And then we got into money, the funding. The funding that is missing. Why? Well, it's not missing because they are fully funded, which means, as Kathryn Haines said last night, they have paid off all their debt. They have paid off all their debt. with the ESSER money, the ARP money. So I'm sorry, but at what part of no less than 20% must be spent on recovery of loss of learning? I don't think paying off your debt for the next 2 years so that your ass is clear until you get out of office, because you should not be proud that you paid off your debt if we have a more horrific school setting than we did last year. So, real quick, I will go because I don't want to stay on here all day because I do want to finally get some actual stuff done for you guys. I just wanted to read. Ooh, what happened here? No, that is not what I want. Okay. So June 7th, this document is dated. So this took me, let's see if I can zoom in. No. Oh. So this took me, this was due, if you can rewind to earlier in the video, this was due June 1st on a website, and it's dated June 7th. Okay, so let's be clear about that. I had a meeting with Ann Coker and Kathryn Haines and John Murray via Zoom on June 16th, asking where this transparency, when the video's over, you can rewind and see Balo's memo. So 2 days before, or the day of the first school board meeting this year, I was still asking where this money was. So they sent me this spread. This is not transparency. So you can see here, ESSER 1, ESSER 2. But look at this, guys. Online Learning and Virtual Academy. ESSER 1, 19,000. ESSER 2, $1 million, $1.5 million. Look at ESSER 3. Almost $10 million budgeted. Total $11 million. For what? Online Virtual Academy. Why are we spending $11 on Online Virtual Academy for when COVID lockdown? Guys, because that's the end goal, and I've been telling you this. When Merv makes a comment about if students bully and can't follow the rules, we'll simply put them in another environment. They want the children out of brick and mortar. They want them behind screens because it's the only way that you can accomplish personalized learning. It's the only way is to not have teachers. Okay. So then we go to special education. None. ESSER 1. 779,000 of ESSER 2. And for Zero. As long as I'm reading that correctly. Special education. Okay, so I think I'm reading that right. Maybe I should scroll down a little bit. Okay. Special ed, right there. So ESSER 1 was 779. Zero budgeted ESSER 2. 779 again for special ed. Oh, wait a minute. I'm talking again. It gets even worse. Okay. Special ed. None for ESSER 1. 779 for ESSER 2. 0 for ESSER 3. For a grand total of 779. With the remaining 341,000. Remaining. And we don't have aids. We don't have aids. And then let's jump right back up to virtual recovery of loss of learning. Let's talk about that. So we're going to spend on virtual academy when COVID is over, we're going to budget $11 million for virtual academy. They've spent $6.5 million already, with the remaining $2 million. And they total of the ARP money, which was specifically allotted to IDEA, a huge chunk of it, those kids got $779,000. Let's round up because Chesterfield likes to do that. And we'll say $780,000 out of the, I don't even know off the top of my hand how many million, $110 million for the ESSER ARP money, maybe? I can't think of it. 300. No, I think 300 total with all parts. Different story. 779,000 is all that the special ed children got total COVID money. For the historically marginalized, okay, because they are the most historically marginalized. And they still have 341. That's what? I don't know, probably 10 aides. Okay. So just to check. And so you should be emailing them saying, where's the money? Where is this? Because this was supposed to be available June 1st per Jillian Balo. You can rewind to the beginning of the video. And I've never done this before, so we're going to go through this. Technology. Let's get some more of that. Oh, you know, just $5.5 million for more technology, because we need more technology. Just more. Summer school. $7 million for summer school. And $779,000 for special education. Instruction. So this is what they allot from the S, and think of what we don't have, how many teacher shortages we had. Okay. $34 million for instruction. They've spent almost $9 million. They've committed. Now, this was also in June, and they still have 1.8, or they did, remaining. Now, this was the reason this conversation got started, was because I pulled up my census report that I had done and asked why we have the lowest per pupil funding, one in the 10,000s in the state. And that's because our board of supervisors chooses to give us less money. That's a board of supervisor issue that we're supposed to beg the board of supervisors for. We get taxed. Okay, guys, keep this in mind. We get taxed. Our tax dollars go to the board of supervisors. The board of supervisors then decides how much they're going to give the school. I'll pull that up in a second. So under instruction, full-time substitutes, which we already, I think it's like $2 million. Full-time substitutes. Oh, my bad. That would be 3, 8. Full-time substitutes, not teachers. 21st century. God, that's just, I can't even get into that right now. Instructional software. We got plenty of that. Books. Testing support. Private school allocations, which is what I found funny, because we've had parents who have sued the school because they certainly can spend for private school allocation. So student support, you know, counselors, they got 900 counselors. So total, they got $1 million for counselors. And then like the whole transportation, driver expensive incentives. So this is just one of them. Let's pull up the other one because there's two. Okay. guess, oh, this is the detailed one. Excuse me. So let's zoom in on this. So this is everything that we just looked at pretty much, but in more detail. So Virtual Academy, we looked at that. And so here's the notes. Remaining hold on Virtual Academy, VLA online needs. 35 facilitators for virtual facilitators. Keep that in mind. There's 46 classes that are being taught currently in Chesterfield County synchronously, which means your child is in a classroom in front of their Chromebook with no teacher, with a teacher teaching them remotely. 46. I don't have the slide pulled up, but I can tell you real quick. And guys, these are teachers that send me this stuff that are that concerned. So just a question where I get this information from, it's because there are actually teachers and people out there that care about this stuff. Let's see. Here it is. Carver has 4 algebra, 1 trig that are taught synchronously. Meadowbrook has 2 algebra honors, 6 geometry, 4 geometry honors. Algebra 2 has 4. Algebra 2 honors has 1. Trig, advanced algebra, has 1, and trigonometry has 2. Being taught. How do you learn math remotely? No blackboard, no chalkboard. And then Falling Creek has 11 algebra 1, 4 algebra 1 honors. Honors math, 7 to 8 honors, 3 classes. Middle school math, 6 classes being taught with no teacher remotely, which is called synchronous. They're in school being synchronously versus asynchronous, which is when you stare at a lesson all day. So there is a teacher on a computer. One teacher told me that one of theirs in their school is teaching from Jamaica. So just keep that in mind. So SPED. They were totaled for special education, $779. That includes private school extended, I can't pull it up because I don't have the actual spreadsheet, extended student something or another. So they're sending students to private schools in special education, which is fine if you're going to send all children in special education who need private school assistance and not deny the ones and make their parents go through hearings to be denied. So $200,000 allotted to send special education children, which is fine, but you don't get to pick and choose. But yeah, out of the millions and millions and millions of dollars, $780,000 is what special education children got. So here, education software. Lexia, Achieve 3000, etc. I'm sorry, that's not transparent. Testing support, MAPS testing. So driver bus. So this, I mean, the bus driver situation. They were given the money. They were given the money. Traffic support. And again, guys, this is not transparency. Okay. This is not transparent. Is what exactly is 21st century? What is supplies? What instructional software? What books in the library? We're supposed to be able to know exactly where every single dime of that money went. Point taken. The second thing I want to show you guys is, hang on, I gotta send it to myself, is the problem which I brought up, which is our per pupil funding, which is the lowest. Now, when I say the lowest, I mean it is amongst the lowest because nobody goes below 10,000 per pupil in the state. So when I say that we're the lowest category, considering what we are equal with wise. Henrico has the same problem. Culpeper has the same problem. Chesapeake has the same problem. And then you can look at comparable counties with the same median household income, etc. And you would then ask why. And I asked the question to be clear. So what you're saying is that our tax dollars that we say, I want my tax dollars to follow my child. The tax dollars go to the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors then gives the budget, what they deem the schools need to the schools and I clarified that very clear. For anybody that was there, they can say, I was very clear. So what you're saying is that we're not taxed less than the state of Virginia. No. Kathryn Haines was clear. No. Our tax dollars that we think go to the schools, they don't go to the schools. They go to the Board of Supervisors. The Board of Supervisors then determines how much money they're going to give the schools. So Virginia is 41st in the nation for state funding, which means the state deems how much funding. So we're already behind the 8 ball in funding. If you look at the rest of the nation, we're 41st for what the state deems us to get. And then we have a Board of Supervisors who deems us about $3,000 or $4,000 less than other counties within the same median household income. And so the big issue with that is when you look at things like the Board of Supervisors building that huge Genito Lake Plaza facility, whatever, is that they have chosen. Now, if one more poor person tells me, but it's going to bring in revenue for the schools. Listen, when that revenue comes in and actually benefits the schools, you tell me exactly how that revenue benefited the schools and that it would have been, and that it will equal more money than if they had just given the money to the schools to start with, is the argument. So when they build these ginormous $1 million plazas or whatever they're trying to do with Southside Speedway or whatever ridiculous purchases that they've spent millions of dollars on, that's money that should have gone to our children. As soon as I stop talking, I will send myself this spreadsheet that came from the census report. So, and it's definitely worth sticking around to look at. 1 second. And I had really planned on doing like a pick apart, like opt-outs and stuff today, but this I really thought was important. So if you're catching up, I would definitely go back and watch. I'm going to try to keep this as minimal, less than an hour. But it's really important that you listen to, especially to what we talked about, especially about the pronouns, the cell phones. Let's see what else was there. Guidance counselors. Why I pulled my children. Let's see. Restorative practices, interns, stuff like that. Because guys, there's law behind how much, or the limitations of guidance counselors, the limitations of what they can do. They are not group therapists. There's limitations on school counselors or school psychologists. They are not clinical behavioral psychologists. None of these people, and there's actually a law on what percentage of school time can be spent on things like social skills. It's 15 to 20% of school time can be spent on skills, on social emotional learning, which is embedded. So there's no way to actually tally it up, but that legislation is, let's see. That would be Virginia Code 22.1-200.2, minimal instruction time, optional unstructured recreational time. It states that local school boards may include Now, this would be for elementary school, which SEL is done, especially K through 8. To develop teamwork, social skills, and overall physical fitness, and any calculation of total instruction time or teaching hours provided that unstructured recreational time does not exceed 15%. So you can interpret that law however you want, but it is encompassed into programs, course instruction, and textbooks. There's just too many interpretations that we have to go through. And it also does state that the Board of Education has to list all approved textbooks. And since we don't use textbooks anymore, the Board of Education, under Virginia law, is required to list all educational software because that's now what instructional materials are. And write your legislators that these things need to be enforced. I encourage everybody, if you haven't read Title 8, which would be the Virginia Constitution, VIII, education, to go through and read the Constitution of Virginia. And then especially Title 22, all the 20s is education. But let me see. I want to really show you guys this because it's going to blow your brain. Here it is. Sorry. Blast. It's not going to let me out. Like, it should be in here. I'm just sing to you while you wait. Here it is. And it's not telling me. Okay. I'll just read it to you and then I'll show you later. Maybe I can take a picture. Hold on. So I really, really want you to see this. So I'm just going to do gangster and send a picture to myself real quick. So because I can't, for some reason, my Excel is not working on here. So I'm just going to send, I'm not going to be able to show the entire spreadsheet because I got to pull that up and I don't have time for that right now. So, okay. Okay, so here it is. I've done it. Okay. Oh, I don't need that many copies. Okay, so let's see how fuzzy this is. Can I zoom in? I can't. Oh, is it going to focus? I think it is. All right. So it's a little hard to see. So here you can see how I did this is that, so I took the census and I broke it down in Chesterfield County. The Census Bureau, it's the median household income is $82,000. And then the Census Bureau, what that says up top there is the poverty rate. So as you can see, your poverty rate, it's not really clear. Let me look at it. So that is kind of like your ability to pay, your Title I, your poverty rate. And obviously our poverty rate is green. It's not very, very green because there's some places like Falls Church, Buckyer, Fluvanna, actually, that are very, very green. And then as you can see, there are some places that are red: Buena Vista, Campbell, Charlotte, Charlottesville, Colonial Beach. What that means is their ability to pay, their poverty rate, which would be their Title I schools, that kind of stuff. So Chesterfield, what that number says that you can't see right there is 6.8%. So we actually have, it's a good poverty rate. I mean, it's low. But that has nothing to do with what that has to do with how they allocate funding when it comes to state and federal. That has nothing to do with where did all that go? Okay. I don't know where this whole section went. I may have accidentally deleted it. I'll find it. So you can see here, Chesterfield County. So this is local dollars. So local dollars per pupil is $4,000. But you can look up here, Charles City, they make less taxes. So say Charles City, $57,000 is their median household income, and their local dollars, $9,000 per pupil. Chesterfield County makes $25,000 median household income more a year, and we get $4,000 per pupil. That's at the local level. Okay. And so then you look right here, what you can't see because it's in white is the state. We're in yellow, which means we're in the not really that great. It says $5,900. $5,900 state. And that has to do with, and keep in mind that we are 41st in the nation for what the state gives us from the money. So you have places like Charles City that gets $9,000 of their local money when their median household income is $25,000 less than Chesterfield County. They get $9,000 per pupil. That's how much they care about their students' income or their students per pupil ratio, Charles City. And so they get $9,000. And then they get almost $6,000 of state funds. And then $1,000 of federal funds, which puts that $16,500 per pupil ratio. Keep that in mind. Chesterfield County, with a household income of $82,000, only gives, of the Board of Supervisors only gives, because they tax us on our property value. Okay. So our taxes are going not to our children. Our tax dollars are going to things like these ridiculous resorts and things that they're building. And I have this spreadsheet done for everybody. So you can see here too, Colonial Heights used to be attached to Chesterfield County. Their median household income, it's right. You could spit on Colonial Heights from here, $54,000. They give their kids $7,000. The state gives them $5,000. But see, guys, here's the thing: federal funding. Look at that. $1,400 per county, $800 per county. We have to start asking, why are we giving over our local control to the federal government for $800 per pupil? Why? Everybody running for school board now and next year? Nope, we don't care. We don't want your money. It's not worth it. The ARP money wasn't worth it. For them to pay off their debt, that's what they used it for. And look what we're locked into now. And if you don't know, go to VAFCF.org and read the ESSER manuals. There's requirements, including social emotional learning. Stop taking the federal money. First of all, look, if you can't see, it's kind of fuzzy, and I apologize for that. I will do a show strictly just for this. Look at the amount of federal funding that we get. It's minimal compared to what we give. That money includes things like the statewide longitudinal database system, okay, where they are giving our children's data at the federal level to other states because they got grants to do so. Stop taking the money. Tell the state to stop taking the money and tell your division to give you the correct ALOT percentage. Because if Chesterfield simply gave the same amount, look, if Chesterfield gave the appropriate amount of taxes, because if you look at what Chesterfield, we're in the red. Okay, our total per pupil is $10,000. $10,000. Where you have people like Charles City who they have a $25,000 less median household income. Their local money equals almost what we get total. So can we function off of just local dollars? Absolutely. Absolutely. If you have the right board of supervisors, the right school board, we don't even need the state funding, honestly. Look. But if it's going to be done, you're going to do it right. And you're not going, because guys, I don't know if I captured, I didn't. I think I did right here. Guys, this goes into teachers too. So here you can see average teacher salary, and the teacher salary, what percentage of their median household income. Okay. So this, I mean, all of this stuff, Buena Vista funds their teachers 150%. Chesterfield, let me follow this over. 67%. We're in the yellow. Okay. There's too many questions not being answered. And here, guys, this was 2019. I just want to point out right here, the pupils per the census in 2019 was 61,608. We know that we've lost over 3,000 students in the last 3 years. I don't even know what the total is for this year. We finally got them to admit that we were below 61 last year post-COVID. And they're still on the website putting 61 plus when it's, so if in 2019 we were at 61, so the question becomes, why are they lying? And they're getting money for children that they don't have, period. So that's just a brief example. I'm sorry that it looks like this, but it's important to know how funding works. Go to your board of supervisors if you're in, say, Chesterfield or Chesapeake or Charlotte or Culpeper. $77,000 median household income. They give their students 3,000 of that, because then the state has to make up for it for this thing called maintenance of equity. So that's why you're not going to find anyone that falls below this mark here, about 10,500, because that's like the lowest that they can go. So the state then has to make up for what the division doesn't give. And then all of this federal money is based on Title I funding. So look at what the federal government gives us and think about what we give away for FedEd. What rights, what local control we give away for FedEd. And then look at how much the state gives us. And ask yourself, because we're about $3,000 or $4,000 per pupil less than coming from the state than the rest of the nation. So when we want to start talking about what's wrong with our schools, we're not asking the right questions. The teachers unions are not asking the right questions. The teachers unions are demanding more money. Do you know where the localities that they're demanding more money from? The areas with the most money. None of these, you don't see teachers striking and throwing fits in Buena Vista or Colonial Beach or Charlotte or, I mean, any of these other places with Wise, these actually impoverished, because they fund their teachers appropriately based on their median household income. And I can guarantee you this, if you want more money, stop doing to our children what you're doing, and parents might actually back you. VEA, CEA, whatever your EA is. We think you should get more money too, but as long as you're islanding our children, you're acting a fool in there and pushing crazy stuff, we're not going to back you to get more money. But teachers got $3,000 more a year last year. Our children, and I told James Fetterman this at the VBOE meeting, I said, shame on you for standing up there and asking for more money. You got more money. Our kids did not. That's the problem. When our kids get more money, I will go and I will say the teachers need more money. Because Northern left like $300 million behind that was supposed to go to teachers. I don't know if it did. But so we know that teachers got about $3,000 more a year last year. They've already gotten paid. Sorry. Until we fix how much our students are getting paid or per pupil funding. Guys, and you also don't take into account that the money doesn't go directly to the child. It goes to the school board in hopes. So are our children getting $10,000? The base minimum? No. Because they're doing what? They're building new buildings. They're building facades. They're building new things. Okay. Our children are not getting $10,000 at the bare minimum education. If they did, they'd have teachers. If they did, they wouldn't be sitting on computer screens. The money doesn't ever get to the child. Okay. So when they say even per pupil, you have to expect that the expectation is that once the money has gone from your paycheck, your tax dollars, to this county, your locality, then we can see here that even the locality determines how much of the money is then going to go to the school district. And then the school district then decides where the money is going to go. So even though it says per pupil, we know that our children are not getting $10,000 each. You have to then, so even under all these Title I kids, that's where equity doesn't work because the money's not actually making it to these children that actually need it. I would get behind equity if I knew that children who needed it, because there are poor areas everywhere where these children do need more money. They need more help. Prove to me that the money is actually going to those children, and I might get behind equity and push all the racist nonsense aside, but they're not. The money's not getting to ECTRIC. The money's not getting to these schools that need it, that it's specifically sent for. So if you're a parent who believes so much in equity, you need to ask yourself, how much money is the federal or state government giving for my child that my child is not getting? Those are the questions that we're not asking. Because guys, they want us fighting each other. They've done transgender, they've done equity, CRT, that whole stuff. We have to stop fighting that. Because as long as we're divided, and this includes teachers, as long as we're divided, they keep winning. Look at the money and say, why isn't that Title I school getting $9,000, $8,000 more dollars? Where is that money going? It's going to the district, your division, your school board. And then they're making a budget based on your child's IDEA money, Title I money. It's not going to the SPED kids. The money is given from the state or the feds for the IDEA SPED kids, but it never gets past the school boards. The money doesn't go directly to the child. It goes to the school board. The school board then, in their budget, decides what they're going to do with your child's state or federal Title I IDEA per pupil funding, however you want to look at it. The money doesn't get to the kids. So when you have these people standing outside and they're like, I'm so proud I built an addiction high school, or I'm so proud I built a new facade. I'm so proud I built a new this. You have to say, that's not your money to spend on that, first of all. That money is supposed to go to my child's education. And then you go to your board of supervisors if you're in a place like Chesterfield, where our almost 80,000 median household income taxed for the purposes of schools, that goes to the board of supervisors first. Virginia is the only state that does this, by the way. Thank you, Kathryn Haines, for pointing that out last night. Virginia is the only state that the money meant for schools doesn't go directly to the school board. It goes to the board of supervisors first. Thank you, Kathryn Haines, for clarifying that. Something I didn't have to dig up on my own. So are there more problems here as we approach legislation time? It's, guys, TikTok. If you want to change something for January, you better get on the phone now, because I am. This, unacceptable. There should be a statewide formula that every division has to follow. The money for the children should go to the schools directly, school boards, not to the board of supervisors. Because look, there's a whole spreadsheet. Whole spreadsheet. Culpepper, call Nick Freitas and ask him, write a bill, fix this. He lives there. Chesapeake, Division 2, y'all D2, y'all got people down there. Tell them, this is what you need to be talking about. Why are we not funding our children? Because then we can get into the big stuff, like, why are you wasting the money to make our children cogs in a machine? Different story for a different day. So just to recap, to go back over what I learned, is that the ESSER money was used to get them, Chesterfield County School Board, out of debt. So our children didn't get that money. I learned that they are forcing children to stand up and introduce themselves and announce their pronouns, and they can't sit down until they announce their pronouns. Which brings in Governor Youngkin's new dignity, blah, 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 blah. Is that if you live in a county like Chesterfield that was ready to go with that, we got it. Like, 4 minutes. We don't care what you say. Lawyers already told us that we had to do this. So, okay. Well, here I am telling, and I already told them, is that lawyers, okay, I'm going to sue you myself. The parents will. You don't need the ACLU, because right now, none of it was legal to start with, because they removed the rights of parents from the first one. Okay. So it's been issued. Chesterfield County, 6 months ago, I had the conversation about when they were going to change it. They were waiting on the governor's interim guidance. So I'm going to pull up the email list for Chesterfield County real quick, because a lot of you were not subjected to what Chesterfield has been subjected to for the last 13 months, which is an all-out free-for-all when it comes to the bathrooms, when it comes to sports, when it comes to parental removal. There's support plans that specifically leave parents out. All of this has been issued. If you live somewhere insane like Chesterfield, Fairfax, like, no, I don't want to wait until the next school board meeting. This is an emergency meeting. You've been waiting for this guidance. You knew it was coming for 6 months. I want it done today. I want my daughters safe. I want my children safe in the bathrooms. I want it done today. That's how important it is, because I cannot be the only one writing them, telling them, you need to do this now. You need to do this yesterday. You should have had this. They certainly had the transgender model policy ready to go the day they voted on it, because they knew it was coming. So you need to be, and I'm going to show you, guys, and all of this stuff I'm going to show you. VAFCF.org. We have so much information on here. Let's see. School board action sheet. So much. policies for Chesterfield, contact the CCPS school board. Oh, there they are. So this has their individual. Boop, boop, boop. But then, guys, there's so much. I forgot even how much I had to even write a press release. God, there's so much stuff in here. Duties and powers of the school board and the superintendent based on the Code of Virginia. Oh, and there's even a pretty one you can print out. So, and this one has PDFs and has links too. Questions to ask your school board? So many. How to file a FOIA, Title IX. Like that. But anyway, so write your school board. Ask them, when are you changing? When are you changing this? Because you certainly did jump aboard real quick. And if you guys, I'll take this chance to walk you through board docs, which is what almost every county does, which is because it's a VSBA thing, the school boards. And so just in 5 minutes, this is the best tool that you could ever use, and it's free. But this is how it works, is that, so policies, every school board is different. It's broken down differently. So say you want to find out, and this is important because school board meetings, they go through, and they should, and change things. Like they'll say have like first reading of change of, you need to go through there because that's where you're going to find the stuff that they're changing on you and they're eliminating you from, or they're doing. And then you need to find out if it's legal or not, if it's constitutional, if it's based off of law, or just because they want to. So like duties and powers. This is one I fought forever. And then what you do is it should have, and if you're watching this from a school board, is that it should have the authority and it should have the date it was revised. Man, they have certainly, look at this. It sat from 2009 to their duties until 2019, untouched. And then all of a sudden, this would be Kerry Coyner, Javid Siddiqui, and I've backtracked this and I've fought this battle, is that you look at the dates. Big things always happen in June, end of the year, August, and December. Those are your big dates when they're going to try and change things on you. And then what you do is you go back to your meetings and you find, say, 2020. And yeah, it takes time. But if you want to find out what has been going on, you go to view the agenda. You find resolution condemning racism. Second review. So here's where stuff like that goes. Which one was that? 1020? 1020. That may have been under proposed adoption. So this was like a first reading. So this is where you're going to find in yellow what they've changed. So that one, not a big deal to me because they didn't change anything major. Let me find one that was major. What was the date? I know they changed a whole bunch of stuff. I don't want to look and see what they just changed October 15th because it'll send me off my rocker. Like second review. No changes. So that's what, this is how I found out, like, because they'll have complete manual overhauls. This is where I found out that they had completely deleted the protection of children from sexual harassment. So board docs, guys, become familiar how it works is you want to look at your policies. This one is the best. This is my favorite. So you can see that from 2019, the mission and the vision of the county was pretty solid. Didn't really change the mission and the vision of the county. It's making me really mad now that I have to go back and look at it. Then you go to meetings, and you're going to want to find that meeting because all of this stuff should be archived. If your division is not archiving things correctly, you need to contact the school board. You need to contact the attorneys, and you need to let them know how open government works. There's a lot of things that school divisions are not doing. And then I would go to, where was it, August? June 1st. And then you pull up the agenda, and it is tedious, guys, and I go through a lot of paper. But this is how you review and you find out what in the world they've been doing in your county. When does this change? June 1st. That's where I am, right? Yeah. Okay. What policy is it? 1020. Sorry. I'm not seeing it. Anyway, I can't find it because I don't think it was done that day. But anyway, so that's how you backtrack to say first review of this policy. It just happened to be the transgender policy. Wow. So this would have been on June 1st of 2021. June 1st. Okay. June 1st. They already had the new transgender policy written up. The meeting wasn't until August 10th. Over 2 months later. So I will post this. Where's commenting? Patty, I made the census. I made the spreadsheet. Yeah. I got tired of the Department of Education, Board of Education's numbers not matching up. And so just pull a census report where you live, and you can, and I can give you the formulas, but they're really easy. And it's definitely eye-opening. So yeah, pull an actual census report where you live, and I'll walk you through it. Just contact me. Sorry, I just now saw your comment. But so here I'm going to, it'll probably take you to board docs. I don't even think these things, they don't want you to have them. So I don't think that they even process correctly. But so keep in mind, this was June 1st. They had the new transgender model policy ready to go. The meeting was August 10th, 2 months later, over 2 months later. So the governor has already issued his guidance. And Coker said they're working on it. She told me 6 months ago they were waiting for the guidance. Guys, this isn't something that we should just be like, The fact that we have 60,000 parents and that nobody, like I get reports all last year. I pulled my kids because of this. Every parent should be writing them saying, where's the meeting? Why do we not? Do you think that Fairfax, that we are the quietest county, and they're like, we want answers. We want answers now. I pulled my kids, but I'm still fighting. You guys have got to start asking the questions. It has been issued. I'm not waiting until the next school board meeting. You have done this to us for 13 months. It's never been constitutional. You removed parents. I want it taken care of. Now I want an emergency meeting because I can only push so much. I can push a lot, which takes me to the last thing, DESA. Kathryn Haines, because I sent them, I said, if you have a child in this county and have never seen what the DESA survey spits out on your child, I suggest that you do so and ask yourself if you want that following your child and how much you appreciate that your child has had that done to you without your knowledge for the last 4 or 5 years. So parents that have been getting DESA notifications understand, and I'm not saying that that's what we do. This isn't new. They've been doing this to your children for years. The fact that you're just now being notified of it, I spent all summer in meetings making sure that that was getting done. Okay, I can't put forth more effort to make sure that your child, because what that's doing, that's part of their education record. That's going to follow them forever. And if you haven't seen what the scores do, you can watch like 8 of my shows and it'll show you right there. I've handed out 800 what the DESA mini spits out. Okay. And so Kathryn Haines, we agreed, based on Protection of People Rights Amendment, you can't talk to my child about mental health. All of these things is that opt out if you're so proud of the data being collected. And she agreed. And she agreed with me back in June when we had our meeting, and it still hasn't been done. The one thing that they've done is DESA. And I don't know if all 63 schools got notified because I wanted to have a county email sent out. I did not want it to come from each teacher or each principal, because we know that it's the same schools over and over and over that are deceiving parents, that are lying to parents. And then it's the same schools that are being respectful, that don't have the egregious amounts of porn in their libraries, that are trying to protect the children. That's not the way it should be. Is that there should be some sort of uniform procedures for all schools, so that, say, Swift Creek and Tomahawk, with 2 completely different administration teams, are 2 miles apart, are not being subjected to one form of extreme ideology and one somewhat normal education. It's not fair. It's not fair. And it's definitely not based on money, because Tomahawk is definitely more affluent than Swift Creek. So trust me. But guys, there's too many questions that we're not asking. But go to a town hall. Even if you're told that you can't speak, listen. Because the stuff that I heard come out of that principal's mouth, and when I said my name, I said, my name is Ann Tatus. He said, oh, you're Miss Tatus. Like, he knew who I was. And he sat down. He was up walking around all chest bumped, like, and I was like, and he sat his happy ass down, because I have never in my life met a man more arrogant. I didn't even meet him. I didn't even turn around and to talk to him when I was talking to him about him, because his arrogance was beyond me. So if you have a kid at Manchester Middle, I don't know how you deal with it. But go to these town halls. Ask your the other 4 school board members, where's your town hall? They're afraid. And that's the one thing, is that Kathryn Haines and I have nothing. We think nothing alike. But I respect her more than the other 4, including our 3 Republican school board members. Why? Because she has a moral code, and she has a code that she follows to the T, and she owns it. As screwed up as I think it is, that's fine. I know what I'm getting from Kathryn Haines. The other ones, especially the ones that got the GOP or their backing from the Chesterfield County Republican Committee, is whack-a-mole. You don't know what you're going to get. When you elect a Democrat or a liberal into an office, you know what you're getting. The Republicans are the exhausting ones, because they're not aligning with conservative values, conservative beliefs. So guess what? Run for school board as an independent. Remove politics altogether. Because I don't think that we should have politics in schools at all. So if you're running and you have a political affiliation attached to you, and you think that you have to have a political affiliation attached to you to win, shame on you. Because that's always going to follow you. People are always going to say, why didn't you follow this? We need to do what's right for the children, and that's all children, and that's removing the politics from the schools. And that starts with not running on a political platform when you run for school board. That's not something that children should be subjected to, or anybody should have held over their head. It's as simple as that. You run as a school board, you run independent, but that also means you don't take money. You don't take money. There are other ways to run for school board than taking money from the GOP, the Democratic Party, Blue Virginia, whoever you want to call. There's other ways to run. Yeah, it might be harder. No pun intended, harder. But We have to start running without political backing. And anybody running for school board, I'm telling you this right now, I don't care how much I love you or don't love you. If you're not running for school board and you're not running as the iron curtain, the iron wall between the government and our children, don't run. Don't. Because it comes down to the oath of office. You take an oath of office not to violate the Constitution of Virginia and the Constitution of the United States. It's that easy. I'm not going to do this because I'm not going to violate my oath of office. It's not culture. It's not a race war. It's not this, that, and the other. Until you can show me a law that says I have to do this because the Constitution, the law, blah, 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 has changed. The answer is no. ACLU, come after me. Because this comes to, when I say government, I mean all government. Okay? Includes the money we saw there. Why are we taking the money? We're not getting anything back from it. We're just handing over our rights left and right. Biden, you and your lunch money for transgender, that's what I have to say about that, because look how much money we're going to get. And have you seen the food that they're getting? Okay, you can take your free lunch money. I'm going to tell my board of supervisors I want more funding. The appropriate funding that my tax dollars are supposed to be paying for education. How about we do it that way? So that was a diatribe that I've been not meaning to get on, but it's two separate subjects. I'll cut the video apart. Town hall versus not town hall, for those that just want the town hall portion, but it does all wrap together because at the end of the meeting, the goals ended up being funding, opt-outs, because Kathryn Haines even admitted that she opted her child out of DESA. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you didn't know what that was doing to your child? Now you do. Transparency and opting out in general for everything, because they're giving mental health embedded systemic SEL in everything that they do. It's admitted now. It's in every lesson. Protection of People's Rights Amendment. Opting out. Transparency. Special education. AIDS. Funding the kids again. Things that we should not have to continuously repeat. Those were the goals moving forward to next year when we closed the meeting out. So my advice, if you don't know, just go to VAFCF.org, or you can go to the Chesterfield County email the school board. Also, Merv Doherty, Dr. Joseph Tylis, Lisa High, who am I missing? Sharon Pope, John Murray, your principal, Governor Youngkin, Jason Miarez, Winsome Sears, Balo, Schultz, Gadara, all of them. I will put a listserv and I will post it on my Facebook page. Here's all the emails. You can copy and paste it yourself and write these people and tell them that you live in Chesterfield County that has had this insane policy right here, which is almost verbatim what Northam inflicted on our children. Removal of parents completely. Okay. Tell them you want this, and you want a meeting tomorrow. You want an emergency meeting now. You want an emergency meeting tonight. You want this changed now, because 6 months ago, they told me they were waiting on that guidance. They knew this was coming. This was written in June of 2021. They did not have the meeting until August 10th of 2021. If you live in a county that has had this implemented on our children for 13 months, and now Governor Youngkin has finally got around after 4 months of having it in his possession, there's a lot of divisions that did not have what happened to Chesterfield happen. They don't have a bathroom free for all in all grades. Parents being, you don't know what gender your child says they are. They removed us completely. So if you think you know, you think you don't know. You don't have any clue. If you have never delved into your child's Chromebook or into their Canvas, go get a parent portal, please. It's the one thing you do today. And then opt your kid out, please. There's forms beyond DESA that they have to allow. That's one step one baby step that I got. Okay, you can opt them out of SEL, the curriculum. You can opt them out of all of the stuff that they're talking to your child about mental health in English class and math class. I mean, it's none of it's legal. None of it is. But let's work on the transgender thing today, and let's get that, especially in Chesterfield. Let's tell them we're not waiting until next month's school board meeting. We want this done now. We want an emergency meeting. We want you to dismantle everything that you have taught the teachers that they cannot acknowledge. We want you to dismantle everything that these children in 13 months have been harmed beyond belief. The outrage and the amount of parents that have written me saying that my child came home and showed me a text. Her friend decided that she was going to say that she was transgender. And this came from Tomahawk. She said it because she gets treated better. Okay. The amount of outrage that does not exist in this county. And the fact that nobody is like, Chesterfield. Because that's how I feel. And my kids, I pulled from here. I know that my girls are not, I don't have to worry about my girls going into a bathroom because they're not in the schools anymore. But there's still 60,000 children with parents who are not banging down the school doors. Because guess what? The 0.6% of the transgender population of children, they certainly had a squad fighting for them. So keep in mind that a teacher last night said her child had to stand up and announce their pronoun when they announced who they were to the class, and could not, and the instructor, whatever you want to call it, would not let that child sit down until she did. Do you really know what's going on with your child, especially in Chesterfield County? No. You don't. So that guidance they've been waiting on, it's been issued. But I can't be the only one emailing them demanding. Demand that they stop it like you demanded the mask. Because I guarantee you what's been done to these kids in the last 13 months is far, far, far more damaging for the rest of their lives than a mask on their face. Why co-ed bathrooms doesn't make parents in this county as angry as a mask on their face is beyond me. Beyond me. I don't get it. I don't get it. But all I can do is to tell you to email them, to tell them you will be part of the class action suit against them if they do not change it. Because it's ready. I've had it ready. They know that. Tell them the parents of Chesterfield County, ACLU has nothing on us. Because that's the reason they did this in the first place, because they were scared of getting sued. I have the recording with Ryan Harter where he told me they did it before the quorum based on legal counsel. Violates however many laws you want to count, and now he wants to become a delegate. No. So they care so much about what the ACLU, not even the parents of these gender dysphoric children, the ACLU. They don't care about us. Okay? So, guys, as mad as you were and as much as you wanted to get that face mask off, think about what your child has been exposed to. Because when I opened my 11-year-old's Chromebook and saw that you're using Google Slides and every flag that you can imagine, and that she was talking to children who were 12 years old, who were gender fluid and pan-poly. They're teaching that in school. They're learning it somewhere, because my child's not being taught that at home. And I'm not getting to the fact that you're transphobic, because let me remind you something. They're children. They're children. And also those of you that believe that this is right, let me tell you that when minor attracted persons, which is now being acknowledged as a thing, when the age of consent goes out the window, and because if you don't think NAMBLA, North American Man Boy Love Association, is sitting in the wings waiting to kick the door open on the age of consent, because as parents, we sat here quietly and allowed our kindergartners to be able to determine what gender they are, guys. Gender is a social construct. Sex is not. We have been able to allow them to determine their gender. Okay. They are assigned a sex based on their chromosomes, XX, XY. Is that if you don't think that these, because they're actually acknowledging that minor attractive persons is an actual thing. No, you're a pedophile. Sorry. So remember, your silence is snowballing. And don't 10 years from now look back and be like, how did we get here? This is how we got here. This is exactly how we got here. And this is exactly how things like genocide, the Holocaust happen, is good people sit and they wait for somebody else to do something. And in 13 months, damage has been done to these children that is irreparable. And now we have the means to change it. Make it happen. All right, guys, take care. I'm out of here. Bye.